Hey guys, this is Ostadi and welcome back to Comic Space, and today we have quite an interesting update that we need to talk about and how Marvel Studios is planning to utilize Doctor Doom and how they are planning to form the landscape for the upcoming Avengers Doomsday and obviously leading up to Avengers Secret Wars. And another major addition to what we are all hearing about Doctor Doom and how Marvel Studios is gonna go with this adaptation of Doctor Doom. But another major thing to talk about that Doctor Doom might not be just coming alone, and it makes complete sense of him just not coming alone, but he might have his own group, own group of supervillains, or maybe his own group of Avengers, or if you want to call them Dark Avengers. So this is quite an interesting aspect to look at it, but anyhow this is not something very concrete that we can actually kind of go about it. But I would say just take it as a grain of salt, because again I think Marvel Studios can be looking forward to just have Doom and just go full on that front, let alone and just let Doom be in Doom. And again, given the fact the little amount of time that they have to build that character, to introduce that character, to build him and obviously set him up as a major villain in the multiverse saga. So anyhow, this is coming from a lot of sources hinting towards that Marvel Studios can be introducing the Dark Avengers, or the Avengers who turn into supervillains in another universe assembled by Doctor Doom and obviously siding by him, and obviously our heroes also have to go up against them, which again makes in complete sense. And even in the recent edition of the comics Secret Wars event, Doctor Doom did have a villain Doctor Strange by his side, a Susan Storm variant by his side. So anyhow, given all of that, it makes complete sense that he will have his own group, especially when it actually gonna comes to leading and ruling the battle world after he done everything in the Doomsday and moving forward and leading up to Secret Wars. It makes complete sense of having Dark Avengers involved in that project, or some villain variants of Avengers being introduced, even though they are not siding by Doctor Doom. But obviously when Battleworld gets introduced, and again we have talked about it, that they have one film, because Doomsday is pretty much the introduction and build up of Doctor Doom, of that character of RDJ coming back and explaining all of these things, and also assembling the Avengers who are scattered in 616 right now. So again, we don't have an official Avengers team yet, so we are going to have to deal with a lot of all of these things in Avengers Doomsday. And moving forward with Avengers Secret Wars, where they have one film, we did talk about that Marvels might split Avengers Secret Wars into a two-parter as well, making out an whole out trilogy coming back to back with Doomsday, with Secret Wars Part 1 and Secret Wars Part 2. But it doesn't seems to be happening like that. And if you have that one film, and again you gotta be cautious of how much you want to go with a lot of those concepts from the comics, because again they obviously had a lot of time and to kind of explain all of these things. But again, if you're talking about a 3-hour film, it is going to be hard, and you also have to gotta choose your pieces of and the characters that you really want to focus in, because again you don't want to get diluted in between all of the multiverse shenanigans and to kind of just overlook all of the major parts and the characters that you really need to focus. And again, I think Doctor Doom has to be their #1 priority right now, especially with Doomsday. That's the character that they really need to focus on. So again, when you have all of these characters and all of these concepts involved in this film, I think I'm really looking forward to how they're actually going to deal with it and the whole landscape of the battle world, because again that in it itself is a whole lot of a major concept to introduce. Especially visually, it is going to be insane if you kind of get closer to what comics battle world look like, and I think it would be usually quite a challenge to also get that right. But again, given the fact that it is Secret Wars and we are for sure going to see tons of heroes coming back, we are probably going to see, and I'm quite sure at this point we are probably going to see Andrew and Toby coming back, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine for sure, Deadpool 100%, Blade with this nice Blade, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping that he comes back, and characters such as that, and a lot of characters that we haven't met already, and a lot of cameos. And when you're having that, and again I think in a way, especially if Doctor Doom is going to come back again, he's probably going to need his own army as well. It makes complete sense. It won't be like we are going to have a millions of all of this Avengers variant and Doctor Doom sitting alone by himself on that throne, which again it will be cool to see, but it is probably not going to happen like that, because again it just makes sense at the end of the day, especially again if that group does have some villain variants of the Avengers as well included in the storyline. When it comes to that, we can talk about like the superior Iron Man, the Tom Cruise variant that we have talked about for years, And given the fact that we all have been talking about it, I think that's the one of the first names that would come in everybody's mind. But again, we probably can be seeing a lot of that and a lot of that happening, and it would actually makes a lot of sense. You are not going to have Doctor Doom. You're not going to have Doctor Doom all by himself going up against all of these heroes. Obviously, he's going to need some help as well. Again, I think we are still quite far out from Avengers Doomsday, let alone talking about Avengers Secret Wars. And again, the scripts are being finalized and the production of the film is supposed to be beginning from next year. And when that happens, we are probably going to get a lot more updates as well of what Marvel Studios is planning with Doomsday and Secret Wars, because both of the films are gonna head into the production by next year, not back to back, by some break in between. And I think once both of those films get into the production, the clock for the Doomsday begins. It is going to be very interesting to see of how all of these things are actually going to be shape up and how the landscape of 616 and the multiverse in general is going to be looking like. So I think it is time for me to see you guys off on this one. I'm so glad that you guys got the time to hear me out. Thanks for listening to me. This is your host Adi signing off. See you in the next one.